Two ingredients, both already sitting in your garage, mixed in a spray bottle, and mechanics who work on the ugliest rust in the world reach for it before they ever touch a can of penetrating oil. It costs about $1 to make a full bottle. And the strange part is, almost nobody outside a handful of trades has ever heard of it. Here's the problem everyone's run into. A bolt has been sitting outside for years, maybe decades, and it's fused itself to the metal around it with a crust of iron oxide. You grab the blue and yellow can off the shelf because that's what you've always grabbed. You soak it, you wait a few minutes, and you lean into the wrench. Sometimes it works. A lot of the time, the head rounds off or the bolt snaps clean in half, and now you're drilling it out or paying someone else to torch it free. Standard penetrating oil is a thin, lubricating film. It sits on top of the rust. It doesn't dissolve it. It doesn't break the crystal structure holding those metal surfaces together. It just makes things a little slicker while it's still wet. Once it evaporates, which doesn't take long, you're basically back where you started, just a little poorer for the can. So why does something so widely sold keep underperforming on exactly the job it's most famous for? Not because of some grand scheme to keep you buying more cans. The real answer is a lot more mundane, and honestly, more interesting. A general-purpose water-displacing spray was formulated to protect metal in storage, not to chew through severe corrosion, and it's stayed the default answer mostly because of decades of brand recognition, not because it's the best chemical tool for a badly rusted joint. Meanwhile, the fix that actually handles the worst cases developed somewhere that advertising never goes near. That somewhere is the shop floor. Automatic transmission fluid was engineered to survive one of the harshest environments inside a car, packed with detergents to keep metal surfaces clean under extreme heat and pressure, and friction modifiers to keep everything gliding instead of grinding. Machinists and marine techs noticed decades ago that thinning that fluid down with a fast, aggressive solvent like acetone let it travel somewhere it normally couldn't reach, down into the microscopic gaps inside rusted threads. The idea wasn't dreamed up in a lab overnight. It spread the old-fashioned way, tech to tech, boatyard to tractor shed, because it kept working on joints that off-the-shelf sprays simply couldn't touch. It never got printed on a bottle or pushed through a marketing budget, so it just never reached the average driveway. The chemistry behind it is straightforward once you see it laid out. Acetone evaporates fast and has almost no surface tension, so it acts like a delivery vehicle, carrying the thicker fluid deep into cracks a heavier liquid could never reach on its own. Picture trying to pour honey into a hairline crack versus pouring in water first to open the path. Once the transmission fluid is down inside those threads, its detergent additives start working on the iron oxide itself, breaking apart the brittle crystal lattice instead of just sitting on the surface, while the acetone carrying it disappears, leaving behind a slick film that keeps doing its job long after the spray has landed. Because there's no company selling this blend in a can, there's no glossy ad campaign putting it in front of you at the hardware store checkout. That's really the whole explanation for why one trick dominates shelf space, while the cheaper, more effective one stays confined to trade circles. It's a story about advertising budgets and shelf space, not a cover-up. $1's worth of homemade fluid doesn't have a marketing department. A $100 million brand does. Plenty of people who work with rusted machinery for a living, restoration shops, farm equipment techs, marine mechanics, have compared the two side by side over the years on genuinely seized hardware. And the general pattern they report is consistent. The acetone and ATF mix tends to free stuck bolts with noticeably less brute force and holds up longer once it's soaked in, especially on the kind of corrosion that's been building for a decade or more. Results always depend on how far the rust has actually progressed and the condition of the metal underneath, so treat any specific number you hear as a rough anecdote rather than a guarantee. But the underlying reason it tends to outperform a basic penetrating oil holds up. It's designed to dissolve rust chemically, not just lubricate around it. If you want to try it yourself, here's how it actually works in practice. Mix equal parts, automatic transmission fluid and acetone in a clean spray bottle. A cheap quart of ATF and a bottle of acetone from the paint aisle will last you through dozens of stuck bolts. Before you spray anything, take 30 seconds with a wire brush to knock the loose flaking rust and grime off the bolt head and the surrounding metal. Skipping this step is the single biggest reason people say the trick doesn't work. That surface crust blocks the fluid from ever reaching the threads. Once it's brushed clean, soak the area heavily, aiming right at the seam where the threads disappear into the base metal until you see it pooling and running into the crack. Then walk away. This is the step almost everyone rushes. Give it 20 minutes for ordinary surface rust, closer to an hour for heavier corrosion, and if a bolt has been frozen solid for years, let it sit overnight and give it a second dose in the morning. The detergents need real time to work through the oxide. When you do go to turn it, reach for a breaker bar instead of an impact driver. A long bar lets you feel the metal starting to give and apply steady, increasing pressure, while an impact gun can snap a partially dissolved bolt clean off. The moment it starts to turn, another light spray keeps the threads slick all the way out. A propane torch can help on the worst cases, but only once the area is completely dry. Never apply open flame anywhere near wet acetone or its vapors, since it's highly flammable. If you're going that route, let everything fully air out first. Warm the surrounding metal, not the bolt itself. For a slow, even count, let it cool for a couple of minutes, then reapply the mix and let it soak on its normal schedule. The heat cycle combined with the chemical soak can loosen joints that neither method handles well on its own. A few honest caveats before you try this. This mixture is flammable and should only be used outdoors or somewhere with real ventilation, well away from sparks, pilot lights, or open flame, and never combined with heat while it's still wet. Wear gloves and eye protection, since both acetone and used transmission fluid are irritants. Check that whatever part you're freeing up is actually safe to reuse once it's out. Severe corrosion can compromise a fastener's strength even after it turns freely again, and results genuinely vary with the type of metal, how long it's been rusted, and how patient you are with the soak time, so don't expect a miracle on the very first try if the corrosion's been building for 20 years. None of this is really about one spray beating another. It's a reminder that the products lined up at eye level in a store aren't always chosen for you because they're the best tool for the job. Sometimes they're just the ones that had the marketing budget to get there first. The people who actually work on rusted machinery for a living figured out something better a long time ago, and it never needed a bottle or a slogan to keep spreading. That's the secret lab difference, looking past what's easiest to sell and finding what actually works.